What if a single voice, soft, trembling, almost fragile, could make the entire world stop breathing for just a moment? What if, in a place built for power, precision, and perfection, emotion became the strongest force of all? Because at the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan and Cortina, that's exactly what happened. Right after Canada's pair skating free program concluded, the blades slowed, the skaters bowed, and the crowd prepared to move on to the next moment. But the arena didn't move on. Instead, Jin's voice rose into the air. Don't say you love me. Not loud, not dramatic, just honest. And suddenly the ice felt different. This wasn't just background music filling silence. It was as if the song extended the performance, stretching the emotion beyond the final spin, refusing to let the moment end. Figure skating is already a sport of vulnerability. One wrong step, one shaky landing, and everything collapses. And into that fragile atmosphere came a voice that understood restraint, longing, and unspoken emotion better than anyone expected. Jin's clear yet sorrow-tinged vocals wrapped around the arena, making the Olympic Stadium feel intimate, almost personal, despite thousands watching from the stands and millions more across the world. This was the Olympics, a stage reserved for national pride, human limits, and historic firsts. And yet, a love song became one of its most unforgettable sounds. What makes this moment even more powerful is that it didn't come out of nowhere. Don't Say You Love Me, the title track of Jin's second solo mini-album Echo, has been quietly rewriting the rules of global music influence. Released last year, the song climbed the Spotify Global Chart and reached #1, making Jin the first Asian artist to top the chart in 2025. Not only that, it became the most streamed K-pop song on Spotify that entire year. No gimmicks, no forced virality, just a song built on emotional honesty, traveling from listener to listener, country to country. Before the Olympics ever heard it, the song had already crossed oceans. In December, it appeared on France's Got Talent, where Jin's voice softened the room, melting through language barriers with ease. Viewers didn't need translation. The feeling was enough. And now, that same feeling echoed across Olympic ice. This is where Jin's artistry stands out. His voice doesn't demand attention, it invites it. And this pattern has followed him everywhere. His first solo single, The Astronaut, was selected for Amazon AWS's official global playlist for its massive international sales kickoff event. He stood shoulder to shoulder with names that define generations: the Beatles, Queen, the Rolling Stones, becoming the only Asian solo artist included. Tens of thousands of attendees heard his voice night after night at one of the world's largest tech gatherings. Then came CES 2025 in Las Vegas, the world's biggest IT expo. Amid innovation, technology, and constant noise, Jin's solo track, I'll Be There, played continuously throughout the venue. Not once, not briefly, repeatedly. It wasn't accidental, it was intentional. Even the world of sports felt the pull. In December 2024, Running Wild aired during an NFL primetime game on CBS, one of the most watched sports broadcasts in the United States. Millions heard Jin's voice without seeking it out, and stayed. Months later, the same song appeared during a national presidential vote count broadcast in Korea. An entirely different context, yet the same impact. That's when something becomes clear. Jin's music doesn't belong to one place. It adapts, it resonates, it understands the moment it enters. And the Olympics have always been part of that story. Before his voice ever filled an Olympic arena, Jin had already made history in Paris. In 2024, he was chosen as a torchbearer for the Paris Summer Olympics, an honor rarely extended to foreign artists. But Jin didn't just carry the flame. He ran first, on Bastille Day, France's most important national holiday, through the Louvre, once a royal palace, now a global symbol. American media highlighted his torch relay as one of the most anticipated Olympic moments. French press described him as a true prince, symbolically returning to the palace centuries after the French Revolution. Fire, history, symbolism, and now music. At Milan and Cortina, Jin returned to the Olympics not as a runner, but as a voice that lingered after the skaters left the ice, a voice that made a global audience pause, a voice that didn't shout to be remembered. And even as this Olympic moment unfolds, the present keeps moving forward. Don't Say You Love Me is now nominated on the February 2026 KM chart, standing among major releases across genres. Jin himself appears across multiple categories, including artist and popularity rankings, reflecting not just legacy but relevance. This isn't a past achievement being celebrated, it's a living moment. From Torchlight in Paris to Olympic ice in Italy, from tech expos to global charts, Jin's journey isn't loud. It's steady, it's sincere, and it keeps finding its way into the most unexpected places. So maybe the real magic isn't that his voice reached the Olympics. Maybe it's this. In a world obsessed with spectacle, one quiet, aching song was enough to make history listen.